I'm 68 years old, and for the last 42 years, I've been living with the most dangerous secret in North America. Behind the false wall in my workshop, hidden in a space that doesn't exist on any blueprint, lives something the government has been hunting since the 1950s. Her name is Ada, at least that's what I call her, and she's a Bigfoot. I found her in 1982, not dying, but giving birth in a cave on my property. And in that moment, I made a choice that would turn me into a criminal, a liar, and the only human being to ever raise a Bigfoot from infancy. This is that story. And after 42 years of silence, it's finally time to tell the truth. My name is Robert Mitchell. Back in 1982, I was 26 years old, fresh out of the Marines, trying to figure out what to do with my life. I'd bought 60 acres of forest land in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest area of Washington State with my discharge money. Remote doesn't even begin to describe it. Nearest town was Trout Lake, 11 miles away. Nearest neighbor was 6 miles through dense forest. It was exactly what I needed after 4 years of noise, orders, and crowds. I built a small cabin with my own hands. No electricity for the first 2 years, just a generator and kerosene lamps. I made money doing odd jobs, some logging work, some guiding for hunters in the fall. It was simple. It was quiet. It was mine. November 9th, 1982. Early winter had come hard that year, and I was out checking my property lines when I heard it. Not a sound exactly, more like the absence of sound. Every bird had gone silent. Every small animal had vanished. The forest had that heavy, watching feeling you get right before something dangerous happens. I followed my instinct deeper into a section of my property I rarely visited. Rocky terrain, lots of caves, not good for much. That's when I smelled it. Wet fur, blood, something primal. And that's when I found the cave entrance, partially hidden by deadfall. What I saw inside changed everything. I'd brought my flashlight, and when I shined it into that cave, I saw her. A female Bigfoot, at least 8 feet tall, lying on her side in obvious distress. She was in labor, and she was terrified. Our eyes met, and I saw something I'll never forget. Intelligence, fear, and a desperate, pleading look that said, "Please don't hurt us." I'm trained for combat, trained to assess threats, trained to react. But in that moment, I froze, because this wasn't supposed to be real. Bigfoot was campfire stories, blurry photographs, hoaxes. Not this. Not a living, breathing creature giving birth in a cave on my property. She made a sound, low, almost like a whale song, but with emotion in it. Pain, exhaustion. And then I saw the infant, tiny compared to its mother, maybe 3 feet tall, covered in wet, dark fur. Not moving, not breathing. The mother was trying to reach it, trying to stimulate it, but she was too weak. She'd been in labor too long. The infant was dying, maybe already dead. I should have left. I should have backed away slowly, gone home, pretended I'd never seen any of it. But I'm a Marine, and Marines don't leave anyone behind, even if that someone isn't human. I moved into the cave slowly, hands visible, making soft sounds. The mother tensed, but she was too exhausted to do anything. I knelt beside the infant, checked for breathing, for a pulse. Nothing. But the body was still warm. I'd seen medics do this in the field. I started chest compressions, small, careful, trying not to break ribs. 15 compressions. Then I tilted the head back, cleared the airway, and gave 2 breaths. Nothing. 15 more compressions. 2 more breaths. The mother was watching me, making soft sounds now, pleading sounds. 15 compressions, 2 breaths, and then the infant gasped. A tiny, wet gasp, and suddenly it was breathing, coughing, making small sounds. The mother cried out, not a roar, but something like a sob, relief and joy mixed together. I wrapped the infant in my jacket to keep it warm and placed it against its mother's chest. She pulled it close, making those soft sounds, and looked at me with tears streaming down her face. Yes, tears. Real tears. That's when I knew. This wasn't an animal. This was a person. Different from me, but a person. I came back every day for 2 weeks, brought food, water, blankets. The mother was weak from the birth, couldn't hunt, couldn't leave the infant. So I provided. Deer meat, mostly. Berries when I could find them. Water in containers. And slowly, we built trust. By December, winter had set in hard. The cave was too cold, too exposed. The infant, a female I'd come to think of as Ada, wasn't going to survive if they stayed there. And the mother, I'd been calling her Gray for the silver streaks in her fur, was still too weak to travel far. So I made a decision that probably sounds insane. I brought them to my property, to the workshop I'd built behind my cabin. It took 3 trips. I'd built a false wall in the back of the workshop, creating a hidden room about 15 by 20 feet. Insulated, heated with a small wood stove, ventilated. From the outside, it looked like a normal workshop. From the inside, there was a hidden door behind a tool rack. Gray understood immediately what I was offering. Safety, warmth, protection. She moved in with Ada in late December 1982. And they never left. The communication started almost immediately. Gray was smart, frighteningly smart. Within 2 months, she'd learned to knock once for yes, twice for no. She could point at things she needed. She understood my routines, stayed absolutely silent when anyone else was around. But it was Ada who changed everything. I watched her grow up. First steps at 11 months, first time climbing at 18 months. By age 2, she was learning everything her mother taught her, but she was also learning from me. I brought her picture books. She'd study them for hours, pointing at animals, at people, at objects. By age 3, she could identify over 200 different images. By age 5, Ada had learned basic sign language, simple signs I taught her. More. Food, water, thank you, friend. One day when she was 6 years old, Ada did something that made me break down crying. I'd been sick with the flu, barely able to get out of bed. I hadn't visited them in 2 days. When I finally made it to the hidden room, Ada came up to me, placed her small hand on my forehead like she'd seen me do to her when checking for fever, and then made the sign for sick, followed by sad. She was worried about me. That's when I understood fully what I was protecting. Not just an unknown species, a family, a person with emotions, with capacity for empathy, with everything that makes someone human except the DNA. Gray watched all of this, teaching Ada everything she knew about their kind, while I taught her everything I knew about mine. Ada grew up bilingual in a way no human child ever could. She understood both worlds, even though she could never be part of either. The years passed. 1985, 1987, 1990. Ada grew into a teenager, then a young adult. Gray aged gracefully, her silver fur spreading, her movements slower but still strong. And I kept their secret, through everything. The close calls started in 1989. A forest fire swept within a mile of my property. Fire crews were everywhere, helicopters doing water drops, teams establishing fire lines. One crew wanted to use my workshop as a staging area. I had 30 minutes to hide everything, move the tool rack, seal the door, clear out any sign that the hidden room existed. Gray and Ada had to stay absolutely silent for 6 hours while 12 firefighters worked 20 feet away from them. When they finally left, I opened the door to find Gray holding Ada, both of them trembling but completely quiet. Ada was 7 years old. In 1994, federal agents showed up. Not at my property, but at the property next to mine, which had just been purchased by a developer. They were asking questions. Had anyone seen large tracks, heard unusual sounds, found evidence of large animal activity? The government was actively searching the area, and they were getting close. I started taking extreme precautions. No more daytime visits to the hidden room. All food delivered at night. I built a second exit, a tunnel that led 50 feet into the forest, camouflaged with deadfall. If agents ever searched the workshop, Gray and Ada could escape. The hardest part wasn't the physical danger, it was the isolation. Ada was growing up without any contact with her own kind. Gray had been wild once, knew what freedom felt like, but Ada had only ever known that hidden room, those walls, that small space. One night in 1997, when Ada was 15, I found her trying to communicate something complex with her signs. She kept pointing at herself, then at the door, then making a questioning gesture. She was asking if she could go outside. I explained as best I could with signs and pictures what would happen if she was discovered, how people would react, how she'd be taken away, put in a facility, studied like an animal. Ada signed back, "Afraid, stay, safe here." She understood, but understanding didn't make it fair. In 2003, satellite imaging technology became widely available. Google Earth launched in 2005. I became paranoid about what might be visible from above. I built additional structures over the workshop, made everything look abandoned, overgrown. The world was getting smaller. Technology was advancing, and keeping two Bigfoot hidden was getting exponentially harder. By 2015, Gray was old. Very old. I estimated she was somewhere in her 60s or 70s, but I had no way to know for sure. She'd developed arthritis in her hands and knees. She moved slowly. She slept most of the day. Ada, now 33 years old, took care of her mother with a gentleness that broke my heart. She'd bring her water, adjust her bedding, sit with her for hours making soft sounds. I knew what was coming. That year, I made a decision I'd been avoiding for decades. I needed help. I couldn't do this alone anymore, and if something happened to me, Gray and Ada would be trapped in that room. I reached out to my niece, Sarah Mitchell. She was 29, a wildlife biologist working for the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. Smart, trustworthy, and, more importantly, family. I told her I needed to show her something that would change her understanding of the world, and that if she couldn't keep a secret, we'd stop right there. When Sarah saw them, she went completely silent. For a full minute, she just stared. Then she whispered, "Uncle Rob, do you understand what this means?" "I understand they're people," I said. "I understand they've trusted me for 33 years, and I understand that if anyone else finds out, they'll lose everything." Sarah spent the next 3 months getting to know them. Ada was fascinated by her, another human, a female human. They communicated through signs, through gestures, through that unspoken language that transcends species. Sarah brought medical supplies, proper nutrition supplements, veterinary care equipment. She documented everything scientifically, but she agreed. No one else could know. Not yet. Gray died on March 3rd, 2018. She was in the hidden room, with Ada holding one hand and me holding the other. She died peacefully, surrounded by the family she'd trusted with her life. Ada didn't make a sound, but the grief in her eyes was unmistakable. We buried Gray in the forest, in a spot where the morning sun breaks through the trees. No marker, no gravestone, just a place Ada could visit. After that, Ada changed. She'd lost the only other member of her species she'd ever known. She was alone now, completely, utterly alone. The loneliness in her eyes haunted me. In 2022, I turned 66. Ada was 40. We'd been together for 40 years, but I was getting old, and the question I'd been avoiding couldn't be ignored anymore. What happens to Ada when I die? Sarah and I spent months debating. We could keep hiding her forever, pass the responsibility to the next generation. Or we could go public, try to control the narrative, fight for her rights before I was too old to do it. Ada made the decision for us. She'd been learning to write. Simple words with a modified keyboard Sarah had brought. And one day she typed out a message. Others? More like me? She wanted to know if there were others of her kind out there, if she was truly the last. I couldn't lie to her anymore. I told her, as best I could, that there might be others in the wild, that the government knew about her species but kept it secret, that going public was dangerous but might lead to her kind being protected instead of hunted. Ada typed, "Tell. People should know." So we did. In October 2024, we went public. Sarah published her scientific documentation. I gave interviews. We provided DNA evidence, video footage, everything. Within 48 hours, my property was surrounded. Federal agents, media, protesters, scientists, Agent Marcus Webb from Fish and Wildlife showed up personally. He examined Ada from a distance. She refused to be caged or approached by strangers. And then he told me something that changed everything. "Mr. Mitchell, we've known about Bigfoot populations in the Pacific Northwest since 1967. We've been covertly protecting them under classified environmental regulations. Your revelation just exposed a program that's been running for almost 60 years. Then why hide it?" I demanded. "Because public knowledge brings public danger. Trophy hunters, poachers, thrill seekers. We've been protecting them by pretending they don't exist." "You've been protecting your secrets," I said, "not them. Ada grew up in a hidden room because your agency was too afraid to admit the truth." The debate that followed consumed the country. Should Bigfoot have legal personhood? Should they be classified as an endangered species? What rights do non-human intelligent beings have? In March 2025, Congress passed the Non-Human Sapient Species Protection Act. Bigfoot populations would be federally protected. Killing one would be murder. Habitats would be preserved. And most importantly, Ada would have legal rights. She couldn't be imprisoned, couldn't be studied without consent, couldn't be treated as property. Ada is 42 years old now. She still lives in that hidden room, but now by choice, not necessity. The false wall comes down sometimes, and she walks in the forest at night, free for the first time in her life. She's learned to use a tablet computer. She communicates with a research team that's studying her kind, trying to locate wild populations. She's become an ambassador for a species the world is just beginning to understand. I'm 68 years old. I hid a Bigfoot for 42 years, watched her grow from an infant I brought back from the dead to an adult who changed the world's understanding of what intelligence means. Did I do the right thing? Keeping her hidden all those years, denying her freedom, raising her in isolation? I don't know, but I know this. Ada is alive. She's safe. She's learned to communicate with humans on her own terms. And because of her, others like her might finally get the protection they deserve. Some secrets are kept out of love, not shame. Some families don't share DNA. And sometimes the most extraordinary thing an ordinary person can do is recognize that someone different deserves everything we'd want for ourselves. That was Ada's gift to me. And now her story belongs to the world. Let me know in the comments. If you found a Bigfoot infant dying in a cave, would you have done what I did? Would you have kept the secret for 42 years? And what do we owe to intelligent species that share our world but don't share our genetics? Subscribe for more stories that challenge everything you think you know about the hidden world around us. Because if Bigfoot is real, what else have we been missing? This is Ada's story, and it's just the beginning.